only one hope left for Italian teams in the Champions League, and it's probably not the black and blue team that this guy was hoping for, Gianmarco from Interviews podcast, our good friend of the pod. Gianmarco, how's it going?
It's going good, man. I mean, minus the bowing out to Bodo Glimt, I think it's been going good for me. I'm enjoying everything in the league, and listen, all the hope is now in Atalanta's shoulders. So I guess we'll see how that goes.
Got to say though, between Juve and Inter, we kind of had I wouldn't say exactly similar situations, but we each got scored on by former rivals players. So Hauge in your case, and then Osimhen in our case. So former Serie players coming back to haunt us. We'll get into that. Calcio guys, you could follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Listen to us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Adriano, Gianni, I'm Nicholas. The other two guys, how's it going?
Adrian, you want to go first? I always go first.
I don't know. We're going good. It's good. It's good to be back. Always. Happy to have a guest on this week. Gianmarco has been on before, guys, and very knowledgeable. And even though he's a good sport, guys, even though Inter on one aspect is failed, but obviously a lot of success in the league. So we're a lot to talk about tonight, and I can't wait to get into it.
I mean, I'm just muting my mic for a second. Sorry, because it just seems like, oh yeah, I have the stereotypical ethnic thing of like, oh, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. Let's have everybody at the house and doing a bunch of stuff. Like one's cleaning the bathroom, the other one is playing with my younger cousin. Anyways, but I'm doing not bad. Exhausted.
Italians can never shut up.
Ever seen those like TikTok clips of it's like you're trying to sleep in your bedroom and it's like the joke is it's always like somebody like sleeping in a bedroom. It's like when your family's like Mexican or when your family's Italian or whatever. It's like all of a sudden like they slam the door open and people are like
trying to do stuff in the morning. It's Sunday morning and everybody's vacuuming, fucking making a rumor every oh god. Man.
That's what it feels like right now. But I'm doing good. A little exhausted from all the things going on. Can't wait for some stuff to wrap up at the school, but doing good because it's keeping me busy, right? That's what matters.
That's
it. So Champions League, disappointing for two Italian teams, obviously for Inter. Gianmarco, we spoke about it on the pod before 2 weeks ago before the knockout round. We kind of not expected all three Italian teams to go through, but kind of said all three Italian teams should go through. I don't know what the betting odds were or what the favorites were in Juventus's case, but for sure Inter was the favorite against Bodo Glimt. But one thing I did say, this is a tough team. I saw them play Juve earlier in the first round of the Champions League. Cold ass stadium. I don't know if it was cold when they played away.
Yeah, it was freezing.
Tough place to play. You're playing next to like apartment buildings. People are on their balconies watching. Tough place to play. And clearly this team has some success already in Europe, and they came to play and they did. And it's just obviously it is a disappointment. It is a disappointment, right, for Inter, but it's almost like a case where maybe I don't know if they took them too lightly or what the case is. Maybe we did as fans, but I don't know what did you see in these two games and two losses. That's what it came down to, 2 losses against Bodo Glimt.
Yeah, look, it is embarrassing. Obviously, I think it doesn't look good for the league, right? And I feel like if you're fans of other leagues, you look at the Serie A and you like to point and laugh, and they look at it as an indictment against the league and the talent level and the stuff like that. And did I expect to win? Yes. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I thought Bodo Glimt was going to be able to handle us, but I did also see how they were able to defeat Manchester City. They were able to beat Atletico Madrid. It's not like they're a Sunday league team and we should have just like bowled over them, no issues. They have talent. They play as a unit, which I think is always good. When you play as the whole instead of the individuals, that's going to be bowed to your favor for sure. And playing in those elements, they're accustomed to it. Inter, I think any team that goes to Bodo Glimt away is not going to be used to that, sub-zero weather and stuff. I think at kickoff they said it was -4 Celsius there, and they're playing on turf. Apparently, before the match they had to like staple it down though because it was like coming up and stuff, so it wasn't like really the best conditions to play with. And even though Inter trained on a turf surface, you're still not going to be able to duplicate the cold. And I mean, I don't know if you guys have played in that kind of weather. I know I have. When I was out in Denver for a tournament, and your legs feel heavy in the cold, you feel like you're just not able to really get up to top speed. And although your brain is telling you what to do, you're not able to react the same way. So it was always going to be a challenge. And then I was really hoping to hold on to a draw in that first leg and then maybe be able to get him back at home. But unfortunately, we lost Lautaro to injury there, and it kind of felt like an insurmountable task, on the second leg, to be honest.
Yeah, Johnny, you're muted.
Sorry, I forgot because the dog was barking. I have to agree with you. Playing in that kind of weather, it is extremely, extremely difficult because you need to get yourself moving just to, deal with it, right? Like, and if you're not moving, it just gets to you, and sometimes it just gets to your bones too. You know what I mean? Like, and it just, I think that's the absolute worst. So, but yeah. I think it just goes to show, like, even with as much of like training as possible, sometimes home field advantage is just a bit too much to overcome.
For sure.
And Gianmarco, I like your point on Bodo Glimt. Obviously, playing as a unit, and I think it was that was probably the X factor. Them playing as a unit. I felt like, I don't know, Inter. It's weird because we watch them in Serie A week in and week out, and they're this big bad monster of a team, right? And then shift over to Europe, and it's lately it's been a different story. So
yeah,
and I said it last week too, like, and in the previous weeks, like, it's an embarrassment for the teams in the first leg to drop the way they did, and for Inter's sake, and obviously I'll probably speak about Juventus' sake later on, but I think it was how they fell in the first leg that ultimately was a bit too much to come back from for both teams. And again, I think it was the clip I saw on your guys' show, Nima. I think I said, Inter a bit too naive. Just want your thoughts on that, because I did kind of resonate with that, because it seemed that way. Even being a rival fan, you look at Inter and you're like, listen, they're a good team, obviously, and on paper they should be beating Bodo Glimt, but when it comes to on the field, did you kind of sense that too? Was that your same feelings, or like was it just something else that was off for Inter?
Yeah, I think that was definitely a big part of it. Listen, I give Kivo a lot of credit. I know a lot of Interisti are not his biggest fan, and they don't want him to be there for whatever. I don't understand. Like, he's a club legend. He's in first place. I mean, what do you want? Like, I don't know. Well, why do you want to replace him? It makes no sense to me. They're like, it drives me crazy because they're actively rooting against him. Like, they want him to fail so that they could be justified and kind of say that they were right all along. So
sure, it
drives me crazy. But there are times that Kivu shows that he is a little young, right? He's a little green as a manager. He has before he started managing at Inter, he only had like 13 games of management at top level. Even though he was the Primavera coach at Inter, it just wasn't a lot of experience. And wanting to go to Bodo Glimt, knowing the conditions, knowing what was going to be at stake, to try to play that high press, one is crazy when you have a player like Acerbi in your back line, because the guy is a refrigerator when he runs. Like, there's no speed, there's no pace. He's unable to cut, react. It's a crazy thing. And then you put more pressure on your other center backs to kind of make up for what he's not bringing. And you saw in that game that they were just a lot of disconnection, a lot of players trying to cover space that others were leaving vacant and then leaving their space vacant. And it just was sloppy at the back. I mean, two of those goals were preventable for sure. Had you, maybe played a little bit more reserved, I don't think you had to play. Like, I think once you equalized and made it 1-1, park the bus and just hang on for dear life and try to just leave out of there with a draw. I think to continue to go after it the way that we were. And in typical Inter fashion, like, if we're not able to score and we have all these opportunities but we can't finish, it always seems that the very next shot for the opponent goes in, and then that's it. Like, the momentum's broken for us, and that's inevitably what happened with Bodo Glimt. And look, I give them a lot of credit too, because they had a bend but don't break mentality. Like, they were absorbing all the pressure that Inter were trying to bring. And then once they had the opportunities on the counter, they took advantage. They really knew who to pinpoint as the weaknesses, which were really just Bastoni and Acerbi, who I thought were both horrendous in that first leg, and both were caught like just kind of tripping over themselves. And then Hogue and Hogg, I think I get them both. I always kind of mess up both of their names, but they were both like just cutting us up and having these nice interchanging plays between them, and ended up scoring each. And listen, hats off to them. But I just think, if I agree with Nima that if Kivu had played a little bit more defensive minded and just thought, hey, let's get out of here with a draw. We'll take care of them at home. It probably would have been a different tie altogether for us.
So it's interesting. I don't know if you guys knew, but Bodo Glimt, they're not in the middle of a season right now.
Yeah.
They finished the Norwegian season goes, I think from April to November, I just read. Obviously, it's cold in the winter in Norway, so it makes sense that they're not playing. So they finished November 30th, their season. They've only played Champions League and a couple of friendlies since then.
Mm-hmm.
They're fresh. They came into this game fresh. Inter, on the other hand, obviously we know they played in the Copa. They're playing every single weekend in the SerieA and doing well. Do you think that fatigue factor maybe played in, and the lack of fatigue for Bodo Glimt kind of helped them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great point that you brought up. You know, like I brought it up on the pod yesterday. Bodo had played 4 competitive games in the last month, whereas Inter have played 10. I mean, that definitely is a factor for sure. You have injuries that we had. Like, listen, when you're losing someone like your captain, Lautaro Martinez, he is leading the league in goals, right? He does everything else so well, the pressing, the control, the passing, everything that he's able to bring. It is a huge miss. And some other guys have been underperforming that were relied upon. Like Marcus Thuram has been a bit of a disappointment for us recently. I would say really since like November. It's just been a shell of the player that we thought he would be. And he's kind of just been riding along with Lautaro's coattail. Granted, Pio has elevated his game and been able to step up in the role, but it's only been good because he was playing with Lautaro. Now it's been a little bit harder, but that rest for Bodo, I definitely think keeps them fresh, is allow them to, you know, play their strongest 11, play them long minutes and not have to worry like, oh, we got to save them for the weekend game in the league. Like they're able to just go and not have to worry about that. Whereas, you know, in the first leg, Kivu had to make some substitutions. Obviously, Lautaro getting injured, he had to go bring on Boni there. And, you know, you wanted to preserve Gianmarco, preserve Zielinski, guys who have been playing at the top of their level for the league. So it's kind of a tough balance, whereas they were able to keep things fresh. Not an excuse for why we lost.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
But it does make it a little bit easier, I would say, right?
For sure. Yeah, I was just going to say, if I'm an Inter fan, like I don't want to hear those excuses. Like personally, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
fine and dandy, like whatever it is, like that's what it is. They're not in the league, they're not playing, they're fresh. That's fine. But again, you know, if I was an Interista, like I would not want to even hear that, because the team should be beating Bodo.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there's no excuse. Like the same way I felt about Inter, I felt about Juventus, right? Like they should be beating Galatasaray. I don't want to hear it. Like when are we gonna stop the excuses as a league? Forget the individual clubs, because we all have, you know, our favorite clubs, and that's fine. We're gonna have our biases, but as a league and as a whole, like, when do these excuses stop, and when do we actually take these competitions by the horns and go for it? Because like I said last week, and you know, we clipped it, you know, besides Inter's 2 finals, that again, are they flashes in the pan? Like I said last week, I don't know, but we haven't really seen any success. And you know, we're gonna look back on this matchup and say, well, you know, Inter lost, you know, through 2 legs to Bodo Glimt. And you know, a side fact, you know, Bodo Glimt is not in the league right now. They're a fresher team. Like, I personally, if I was a fan, I don't want to hear it. I don't know about you, Gianmarco, like if that you feel the same sentiment, but that's just the way I felt.
No, there's no reason for us to be losing to a team like Bodo Glimt. Like,
yeah,
granted, yeah, you could say they have those advantages, and I brought them up just because they
no, and I agree with what you're
like
saying.
They are factual, but it also doesn't excuse, like, talent wise.
Yeah,
none of those guys, even if Jens Peter Hag was playing for Milan, right? And he was, you know, discovered by Maldini, and now people feel like he's a little vindicated for that signing and stuff. But like, at the end of the day, he's playing in Norway, right? He's not playing in the EPL. He's not playing in La Liga. He's in Norway, and none of those guys would even be able to get into the starting 11 at a club like Inter, at a club like Juventus, Milan, Roma, Napoli, whoever you want to throw out there. None of those guys would really be starters there. So we should have beaten them, even with our B squad, even with, you know, the injuries, whatever it is else that came along the way. It shouldn't have been an issue. But, you know, I listen, hats off to them, because they came with the right mentality, the right game plan. They knew how to counter. And I will say, even when we made adjustments, they made adjustments in game as well that negated everything that we were trying to do. So maybe their coach gets a look at other leagues because of the way that he's able to work with the players that he has at his disposal. Obviously, with a much smaller transfer budget, like their most expensive purchase was $450K. They said,
Jesus.
like that's we cry that we can't sign a 30 million player in Serie A. These guys can't even sign $1 million player. So
it's crazy.
It is pretty nuts. But I mean, at the end of the day, they had the right mentality, the right tactics, and they played better than us in over 2 legs. And the only excuse is on the players themselves. I don't want to blame Kiwu. I know a lot of people want to, but these players were still losing with Inzaghi as manager. They were losing with Conte as manager for the most part. So it's like you can't blame the player because it's the same formation. They're accustomed to what they're supposed to be doing. They should be outperforming these guys no matter what the temperature is, no matter who's in the lineup. It still should have been, us moving on to the round of 16, but not the case, unfortunately.
So when do you start saying that this is like probably a mental issue with the roster? Like, and if it is a mental issue, like how would you pinpoint that? Like, is it a core that needs to be changed? Is it a player or two that needs to be changed? Like, where do you go? Like, where do you go from here? Because I think that, like, just to kind of circle back a bit to your point earlier before, I feel that the Interisti's like outrage towards them not performing in Champions League is just a tiny bit justified because they've been dominating Serie A recently in a sense. Like, I wouldn't say dominating, but they're established themselves as like they are they can win a Scudetto. That's fine. What Interisti want is the Champions League. They want to catch up to Milan. Obviously, it's going to be forever, but they want those Champions League titles. So where do you go from here? That's the thing. Like, well, I mean, if you have any opinions that you want to share about, like, where do you think?
I love that you asked this because I've been wanting to talk about this on my podcast, and Alessandro's kind of like wanted me to save it for the end of the season kind of thing. But
so we'll roll out the red carpet.
That's it.
For your end of the season.
And you know what? Just for anyone watching and listening, I did not cue this up. I did not say, "Hey, ask me this." Like, this was just pure organic questioning.
We received a boost in the mail. Don't worry, guys.
But it was like, it's just something like, look, I think there is a mentality issue for sure at Inter. I think that there is a core that needs to be moved on from. And one thing that Interisti don't like to admit is that I think a lot of the players are overrated in some aspects. I think that a lot of the guys that that we love, and listen, I love them at the club, but I don't think that they are world class and, compared to other players. Like, Barella's my favorite player. He hasn't been good for a year and a half. It's hard for me to hide that bias sometimes because, like, where others are very harsh on him, which I think is like a little over the top, I kind of like shield him a little. I think that he had, listen, in world football, the only player who's played more games and minutes than him in Europe is Bruno Fernandes. Like, he has in the last 5 years played an insane amount of minutes. He's been available. He doesn't really get in. This year was the first time I've seen him get injured, and he only missed 2 weeks or 2 games, I should say. So it's tough with Barella. I think Bastoni as a defender has a lot of holes in his game. Like, moving the ball forward, playing on the ball, incredible player. In terms of actually playing as a center back, I don't really think that he's good. And he's only really good in a back three. We've seen him in the national team, unable to play well in a back four. I think that's, some people do, Bastoni's the best. Bastoni's the best just on the ball. Like, fine. But if you want him defending or man marking someone, even being able to keep with someone stride for stride, not there. Di Marco, I mean, best left wing back for sure in the world, I think, right now. And you could, look at the numbers he's putting up. It's incredible the year he's having, but you look at that Champions League final, the guy was a mess in the back for us, like leaving people running in freely in the back door, tap-ins, all this stuff. Like, it was just schoolyard play from there. And we don't have a legitimate goalkeeper. We have the worst goalkeeper in the league statistically. Like, if we had anybody from the top four, which are like Magnan, Carnesecchi, Svilar, and I think Caprile were the top four. If I'm not, I could be wrong about Caprile, but definitely those three. If we had any one of those, we're up by 15, 17 points right now in the league. It would have been, done and dusted if we had a legitimate goalkeeper. He's a big hole for us. And whenever one of our strikers is playing well, the other ones are not, and it just makes it hard for us. So I've been of the mindset for I think 2 years now that I think that a squad refresh, not a whole like revolution needs to be done, but I think you really need to like move out some guys, and it may be some tough decisions. I don't know who I would pick. I'm not going to throw names out because I don't want people. The amount of attacks I get in my mentions is insane over players I want out or players I'm not a fan of, but it wouldn't be the worst thing if you move on from a couple of guys and bring in a few different pieces that need to, whether it is a guy like a Palestra or a Carnesecchi, to refresh and bring in some new blood and people who may have a different level of hunger. Like, look at the core, right? Which are Dimarco, Bastoni, Barella, Lautaro, and probably Hakan would be the 5 guys who have been there the longest. Mm-hmm. They've won everything they can, except for the Champions League. They've won everything there is to win at Inter. What more do you have to prove, really? Like, are they kind of like tired of doing the same things and competing for the same trophies? And, maybe I think that if we had won the UCL last year, obviously we got embarrassed by PSG, but I think a lot of those guys would have wanted to maybe go face another challenge or try something different. But yeah, it's a tough thing because Oak Tree doesn't seem very motivated to improve the squad. So are people going to have to be on the way out to bring new people in? That remains to be seen. And are some of these guys going to want to force their way to new challenges and like kind of like run its course? Because there's rumors Thuram, may want to test at the EPL. Dumfries has changed agents so many times. He looks to be on the way out, and there's interest in Bastoni. We'll see if that ends up being something. It is nice that some of these guys seem to be loyal to wanting to stay at Inter, whether it's, Barella never wants to entertain anything, Lautaro either. But
at that point, like, how much are you helping versus hurting,
Exactly. So it's I would be okay with it because at the end of the day, when like we won the treble in 2010, some of my favorite players left after that. The club remains. Like, players are not all going to stay, and some people want to hang on to Thuram because he gets along well with Lautaro. Okay, but if he's not performing, what's the point of hanging on to him? If you're able to sell him for, let's say, 50-60 million in the summer and bring in some young motivated kids, that could reignite some passion in the squad. And if you hang on, like, I want Hakan to leave. I'm going to come out and say it. I think, it's time for him to go, whether it's to, Galatasaray. He had a good flirting session with them in the summer. His father putting pictures of him up in a Galatasaray. Okay, cool. You want to leave? Go. Like, I don't want to keep you. Pavard, time to move on from him. Acerbi and Mkhitaryan, please, like, get those old corpses off my club and let's move on. And, bring in some youth, bring in some young, talented players. Like, I think Italian football also needs to recognize, and I'm sorry, like I'm like monologuing here. I'm not trying to take over your guys' pod.
Please do.
But a problem I have, and it's not just with Inter. Like, you see it at Juve, you see it at Milan. Like, we're kind of at a point where this isn't the 1990s anymore. We're not the top league. We're not able to go and buy, the Haalands or the Mbappes or whoever is the best player in the world at the Yamal, whatever. You have to look at young players, whether it is in Italy or it's outside of Italy. You need to look at the next best thing, the next thing that's coming up, and be willing to invest in that, and also be patient in investing in that and allow those guys to grow, develop. Like, Interisti are complaining about Petar Sucic. I'm one of his biggest fans. I don't see the same things that they see. You could say I have blinders on, but like, when I see a player who has technical ability, passing range, a motor, like Marcelo Brozovic, who could run for days. He's also one of the guys who could. He's like basically has iron lungs. But you're complaining because he doesn't take a shot from outside the box, or he overshoots a pass, and you want to give up, or you're like, oh, let's put Mkhitaryan back out there. The kid's 21 years old. Like, give him time. He's playing he came from Dinamo Zagreb. It's not like he came from Real Madrid. Like, he came from a small club. Yes, he has UCL experience, but allow these guys to develop. And I want, as a league, for us to start doing better with our youth, and not just like, having a U23 or whatever, but like giving these guys an opportunity to grow. Like, you guys at Juve, you had Savona, right? I don't know why he was sold, if it was just strictly a financial reason, but that's a young player that could have developed into something pretty good and been like maybe a core piece at the club with a Yildiz. Milan, you guys gave up on CDK a little too fast. Like, I think that's a Pioli issue more so than the club. But if you had a manager who was a little patient or willing to work with him and help him develop, who knows what you could have had with that guy. And then, you could have had him staying around. Salamaker's went on a few loans. He hasn't really looked that great this year, but on the loans, he looked pretty decent, like much better than I would have thought. I mean, I guess it's good that you've kept him, but I give Kivu credit because he's allowed Pio to develop, which I think has been huge. It helps that he had him at the Primavera side as well, so he has a familiarity with him. He's done pretty well with Boni. Sucic getting his minutes, and now kind of fixing Andy Diouf and Luis Enrique a little bit. I think that's good, but we need to just figure out ways to like find that next best thing before they pop off. Like, I mean, give hats off to Como with Nico Paz, right? Like, I saw him
alone though, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's gonna be bought back now. Like, so they own him, but he's
really they actually.
But Real
Real
has a buyback clause, so they're gonna activate the buyback.
No, but that's what I mean. Like Real is buying him back.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
They're still making money.
But they brought him in, right? And they allowed him to flourish and grow and I mean, we saw like little glimpses of him with the Champions League with Nico Paz, but now like he's kind of developed because of the Serie A. I want us at Inter to be the team that gets the next Nico Paz, not on like a buyback option, but like you get that young guy who then you're able to sell off, for 65, 70 million or something like that. And you develop these young guys a little bit. Yes, it's maybe not good for long term, but I think in the short term, it gives you a little bit of money in that, because obviously we seem to be all struggling financially. I don't think it's just Inter who have that issue, but you're able to develop these guys, still be competitive, not just in the league, but in Europe, because you have top talent coming into the club. And yeah, I mean, it'll just be something that I wish would happen, but Interisti want to win now and forever. But then when we go like last season trophyless, they want, ready stuff now. So it's like you can't have it both ways, unfortunately, guys. Like you either need to be a little patient with the process, or you just buy guys who are in their late 30s, bring in our Kevin De Bruyne, no offense, and like hope that he's able to keep it together for a little bit for a couple of years, and then off to the next senior guy like a Robert Lewandowski now, whatever. So
but that's what it is, because I feel like a lot of the top teams in Serie A are caught between the struggle of either trying to push for a Scudetto versus like, okay, let's plan for the future. And it's like they're afraid to take the risk of like playing these kids.
Yeah.
Like these kids exist in the system. Mourinho showed that, for example, like Roma, like Zalewski, for example, was a product of the Roma Academy.
Yeah.
And Mourinho gave him the time to play. If there was another player that I can't recall off the top of my head, but essentially, like he started that movement for them, and it's just as if teams are like they're constantly fighting for the top four. Like Roma in this case is not a team that's constantly fighting for the top four, but that's one of their goals. But like it's those teams that are willing to take the risks with these kids, whereas the big three of Serie A don't want to play the kids. They just care about getting to the title. It's like I understand you're all in competition with each other, but Italian soccer has suffered for a long time, and this is part of the reason why. Is because no team is willing to just bite the bullet. And you know what? Maybe this game against Cremonese, we're gonna play half of our roster as like academy prospects or something, just to give the kids a shot and just to see like how can they handle playing against men.
But at the same time, it's still a sport, and you want to win. So if those kids aren't giving you a chance to win, like you can't go into that game against Cremonese and say, oh, it's only Cremonese, because then Cremonese is going to go out and beat you. Look at what's happened, like Juve. Look how many drop points had. Look, the game against Lecce in January. I think that kind of almost turned their season around in a bad way when they had those drop points against Lecce. So it's a fine line. Like, on one hand, you want to have young players that could actually produce. You're not a charity. You don't want to have young players just because they're young. But at the same time, you also need to have a proper way to develop young players. So, it's probably not the best idea to buy a player when he's 19, 20, 21 years old, send him out on loan, this and that. For sure, having teams, like obviously we know there's a couple of teams. I know Juve, Milan. I don't know if Inter has the youth team in the third division in the Serie A.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Now. This is our first year having it. So.
Okay. For me, I do think that actually helps. Juve has had success with that. I think Yildiz has been their best product. Obviously, once the players come up and play with the senior team, it's a different story. Look at a guy like Savona, or even Samuel. Oh my God, I forget his name. Juve player, Mbula. I have to look it up again. He had some success coming up with Juve, but right away they sell him. You know, so it's a fine line. Like you need to have a good development system. Like these guys aren't going to get good when they reach the senior team, right? They need to be good before then. So it's a matter of investing in the youth systems before. And then by the time they get to 18, 19 years old, play them, but they also need to be good. Like I said, you can't be a charity, you know? You can't play them just because they're
charity.
young.
Like you give them a 3-4 game.
It's not like FIFA career mode that you play them and they get points and you could go and develop their traits, you know? Like maybe it works that way. I don't know.
For sure, but like you could still do a healthy like balance of the veteran presence with 2 or 3 young guys that you're able to integrate. Like Inter did it in with Kamate. They let him play. They let Matteo Cocchi play, and I forget who the third one was now. I don't think Bobo actually played, but Kamate and Cocchi played as the right wing back and the left wing back. Kamate had an assist on a Boni goal. Awesome, that's great for us, right? But like then boom, back to the the youth side, the U23 side, and it's like, we have what's his name, Akin Sanmiro now playing for Pisa. We have him on loan there. He's doing pretty well. He could be a midfielder for the future for us there. Perfect example. This summer I got really upset because we sold Zalewski to Atalanta, which I thought was stupid because of his tactical flexibility. You could play him on the left, you could play him on the right, you could play him as a mezzala. He played for Inzaghi a couple games there, and I thought he did very well in that role. You sold him for a quick, what was it, $4 million profit? Like you literally paid Roma the $7 million that you had to pay for him, and then flipped him to Atalanta for 11. For what? And then you went and bought a wing back for $25 million. Like,
go figure.
That's just stupid business, in my opinion. You did that. You had Alexander Stankovic, who is killing it. Now, granted, he's playing regularly for Club Brugge in the Belgian league.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to activate the buy black clause for him. That looks like it's a done deal for the summer. But like you had a guy pretty much ready made to kind of fill in for whether you want him as a regista or a mezzala role, where he could have filled in for Çalhanoğlu, who's been hurt now for what feels like a month and a half. Could have had a ready-made player there. And then what did you do? You ended up panic buying Andy Diouf towards the end of the Mercato for another $23 million. So it's like, instead of selling a kid for no reason, you could have loaned them, but you sold them with a buyback option, which is going to be $23 million in itself. So really, that's going to be $46 million out the door. And instead of like having these players go, you could have kept Zalewski, kept Stankovic, and then you would have had 48 million to go invest in something else. And what do we need? We need a center back, a right wing back, and a goalkeeper. And we didn't fill any of those holes. Like what are we doing? Like, Italian teams are so poorly managed. And then we all go, with the high hopes of deep runs in the Champions League, whether it is, Inter, Juve, Milan, whatever, and we all fall flat on our faces to these clubs that we don't even know if they're going to exist in 5 years. No offense, but like Karabakh is beating teams from Serie A, but they're beating teams in the Champions League, right? So it's like, what are we doing wrong? Why are we all stuck in this antiquated system that prevents youth from developing properly? You look at it, how we haven't been able to qualify for the World Cup now in two, possibly a third rendition.
Mm-hmm.
We're just not developing players right. We aren't by any means. Some of our best young talent now, right, are all going to the EPL, the Bundesliga. You look at Inacio, the young player.
Dortmund has all of them.
Dortmund pretty much has, all the young guys. Calafiori went to Arsenal. Like why are they going to see
Coyote to
Coyote's at Brentford. Yeah, Brentford.
Yeah.
Destiny Udoji's over at Tottenham.
Yeah.
What are we doing? We're not giving these guys an opportunity here in Italy, that they decide, all right, I got to go seek opportunities elsewhere to, as a teenager, to go play. I mean, Destiny Udoji was, I think, 20 when he went, but regardless, like, why are we unable to keep talent here? Like, how annoying it was that, like, not one of our 3 big clubs, or even your, like, Johnny, I mean, you got 6 different teams that you support, so it could have been any one of those.
And he fucking missed on all of them. Jesus Christ.
But like Calafiori doesn't even end up at any of our clubs. We let a talent like that leave.
Yeah.
Like, it drives me insane.
I also think like, just to bounce off to everybody's point here on this topic, I mean, I also think that the big clubs, or just the clubs in Italy in general, they're they're so behind the eight ball financially that
They are.
can't make these risks. They can't.
Yeah, that's what I was just
We
thinking.
want them to make these risks, but financially it doesn't make sense. And listen, do I like the money ball aspect of Milan or some of these teams? No, not always. Like, just fucking bite the bullet, go buy who you need to go buy, and let's call it a day, and let's roll with that. But again, these teams can't afford. They're stuck in between. We want to win now because that's what our history says, but we're restricted financially, so we can't do that. And we're in this limbo land of, well, you know what, we're gonna be somewhat competitive. We're gonna, put these little band-aid solutions on. We're gonna buy this, we're gonna buy that, and yeah, listen, maybe we'll get one, youth player, preferably Italian on the roster. If not, someone that is young that's gonna perform at somewhat of a capable level to be in the starting 11, and we're gonna continue rolling like this. But I think that's the biggest, or one of the bigger factors in all of this conversation that we were having is if, and again, I don't like it, but it is the money factor. It's a financial factor. Like, these clubs, you said it perfectly before, Gianmarco. It's not 1990 anymore. SerieA is not what SerieA used to be. Ronaldo Phenomenal is not coming to SerieA anymore. Those types of players are not coming. Zidane's, all these great players, right? They're not coming to Serie A anymore. Maradona, he's not leaving Barcelona to come to Serie A anymore. Yamal, he's not going to leave Barcelona to come play for Roma, right? He's not going to do that. And again, we can sit here and have a conversation for days on end, but I think the money factor is quite a big factor in all this, and it's tough. You have to play this balancing act because a team like Milan, a team like Inter, a team like Juve, the big three, right? They want to win, and they haven't sniffed. We're talking about European wise, like, they haven't sniffed glory in the Champions League in forever, right? We said it last week. Inter was the last team to do it, right, in 2010. So we're stuck in between this, like I said, that the rock and a hard place. And again, listen, I think they're like anything else in life, there has to be a balance. Unfortunately, I don't think as a league, I don't think the clubs are willing to accept that we have to have that balance and having some youth and having some experience. But because of just the incredible pressure that there is behind them to win, right? Like, we need to win. Like, this Champions League campaign, bar Atalanta because they made the great comeback that they did against Dortmund today. Like, this doesn't do anything for our our well-being of our league. Like, it does, like, way more damage than we really think. So again, it's a tough one. I think that teams should give youth chances. I'm honestly shocked. Bartesaghi is doing somewhat good for Milan. Like, it's a youth product for Milan. He's able to get into the starting lineup. I guess it helps when you sell your I guess better option at the time, Theo Hernandez, right? And you let him walk. But for a guy like Bartesaghi to flourish, but I mean, I don't know. I think the bigger clubs in Serie A are not willing to have these youngsters play, and we're depending on the middle of the pack to end of the pack of Serie A to really make these young players flourish, and hopefully that one of the big three or big five, big seven, whatever you want to say, is going to snag these players and then bring them onto the international stage. But again, I think we're far away from that. And listen, at the end of the day, it's as much as we don't want to admit it, guys, it is a business, and this is the way it goes. And I'm not a fan of it, but it is the world we're living in.
See, but like to kind of counter what you said, like, all right, yeah, we have to worry about the finances, and then we can't afford to take risks and miss. But like, I'm just looking at Inter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Luis Enrique right now, probably a miss. That's 25 million.
Yeah.
Andy Diouf, probably a miss as well, 23 million. We spent 30 million on Benjamin Pavard. Where is he right now? On loan at Marseille because whatever, suppose it was a dust up between him and Lautaro. Lautaro doesn't like his lack of commitment to the team, which I'm okay with that. But like, all right, you basically just flushed 30 million down the drain right there with him. And our best signings, truthfully, have been Zielinski on a free, Hakan on a free, Thuram on a free. I think we spent 2 or 3 million on Jan Sommer, who was fantastic last year. This year, he's been a complete black hole. So we've taken risks on players, and instead of going and getting a good, or keeping a Zalewski, we decided to waste money on another guy who turns out to not really be working out or fitting into the system, and a lot of people are wishing we hadn't done that. We didn't want to come up and pay what Atalanta was asking for Lookman, and he ends up going to Atletico Madrid, and look at the impact he's having there.
Mm-hmm.
It's so like, for a club that's supposedly trying to avoid risk, we've taken risks and we've missed on everything. I haven't even gone to touch like Joaquin Correa, which was another waste of 30 million. Robin Gosens was a waste of 25 million. Like, we haven't gotten back what we invested in these players. And I think we're probably like a net negative if you look at all transfers in and out in the last 5 years. It's so why bother doing that when you could try to develop some of these young guys, bring them up, and hey, if they don't work out, it didn't cost you anything really. You could afford to not maybe go where you're skip. Whereas now there's room. In the summer they're talking about. I mean, every team in Italy now wants Palestra from Atalanta.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a bidding war probably for him. But thank goodness Cagliari was in a situation where they can let a kid develop and play, and now he looks like he's the best right wing back, and there's calls for him to be the starter for the national team now. Coming up in the playoffs. So it is a tough situation where you kind of have to choose your battles, and are we going to be willing to invest in this one or spend money here on a player like a Jashari instead of maybe developing somebody from our own program, whatever. And Jashari's looked like a player who seems to have a lot of.
But Jashari is young. Like you brought in, like, just to bounce off to what you just said. Zielinski, Hakan, these frees, they're how old? They're 30 plus.
They're older, yeah, for sure.
They're 30 plus. So again,
and that's
that wage.
We say we can't afford to go buy players.
No,
so we're doing it.
I agree, but I find it, the way the Italians think, in my head at least, is that they're gonna say, listen, we're gonna bring in Zielinski and Hakan for a free, because for them, they see that as more quality as the fucking 19, 20, 21-year-old Stankovic that you named. I don't know how old he is, or whoever you want to name that's in your youth. And Hakan is 30 plus. He's gonna we know his quality. He's gonna produce, and he's gonna have this buffer era of bringing us along. But again, I don't do we agree with that mentality? No, but that's just how they think. And as long as they think that way, and that's for all our clubs, not just Inter, because we said it for all our clubs, it's the same story. As long as the Italians or whoever's leading these clubs think that way, we're never going to change. We're never going to change.
I think my big issue is like when we've taken the risks on like a Diouf or a Henrique, that's, like I said, 48 million.
Yeah.
Atalanta was asking 40 million for Lookman, but we wouldn't pay the 40 million had we kept Zalewski, had we kept Stankovic and not signed those two players. Now you have Lookman, who I think would have fit this team better, especially since Kivu supposedly wanted to switch to a 3-4-2-1. And now you could have had Lookman and Thuram supporting Lautaro, and it could have been a whole different attack and way of play, which
with
is what we want.
Boni and like Pio Esposito coming off the bench.
Kind of off the bench and interchanging there.
For sure.
And then you still have Zalewski and Stankovic. So it's like, cool, we took risks on players who weren't really a need, and we let out players leave who are now, like, I mean, Zalewski's been blossoming, and I think he's been extremely good for Atalanta.
He played well today.
Yeah, and Stankovic is, looked like an absolute world beater for Club Brugge and been dominating the Champions League. So it's like, I just don't get the mentality. I don't get is there any foresight? Or are we just planning for this season? And then we're like kicking the can down the road repeatedly at Inter. Like, we still haven't fixed our goalie situation. We brought in Josep Martinez last year. I thought he was ready to be the starter. Apparently he isn't, because he doesn't get an opportunity. And he had one bad game, which was recent in the Coppa Italia. And now people are like, all right, we're done with him. Now we're going to go for Vicario, who I think is a complete downgrade, to be honest. And
a downgrade from Martinez.
Well, not from Martinez, but I think like from what you could potentially get to bring in. He's already going to be hitting 30 soon. Okay. And, I would rather go for a Carnesecchi, even though it looks like Juve is probably going to beat us to that signing. But we're just we're going to bring in a goalkeeper who I think is not going to be able to handle the pressure of an Inter. He couldn't even handle it at Tottenham. What's he going to do at Inter?
And there you go. Like you said, one bad game from Martinez, who's younger than Sommer. Again, I don't know the age. I forget the age gap.
He's
but
26, so he's like what,
he's like
11 years younger, 11 years, 12 years younger.
Sommer's that much. So Sommer's that much older. Jesus.
Yeah, he's like 37. Yeah,
37 now. Okay.
Yeah.
But there you go. Right. 11 years the age gap. The younger guy has one slip up, which shoot the guy. He can't fuck up. Like it's like a criminal offense. And he's on the bench. Why? Because he has the lesser name, he has the lesser experience. He has, you see Sommer. When you see Josef Martinez, it doesn't bring anything for people. But when you see Jan Sommer, it shows a lot. It tells people a lot. But again, that mentality is listen. We know how Italians are. We all come from that cut of cloth, right? So we know how stubborn they can be. But and I'll stick with this as long as we. As a nation think that way in our league, it's going to take a lot for us to change. And again, I'm still
100%.
sticking to the money factor because there is that included, and we're not where we want to be financially on all our clubs. We're just not. It's that's a fact. Like, it takes former legends to kind of bring players to clubs. Like I remember when Maldini was in charge, like people were picking up the phone and maybe saying, "Oh fuck, you know what? I want to come to Milan because it's Maldini calling." But if that's not there anymore, what's the benefit of coming? There's not much. So it's a tough situation, honestly, on all fronts.
Gotta say though, this is a lot. I wouldn't say complaining, but a lot for a team that's 10 points up and above in first place.
It's as if they're not going to win the Scudetto. Fuck
Jesus, share some success with the rest of us. Like. We're represented by what?
Listen,
I have one team. Jono has one team, and Jenny, how many are you at now?
Oh, I'm at 5 million.
So okay, we have all these teams, and Inter's beating them all.
Hey, we're blessed. All right, we got.
But what I was gonna ask, like all things considered, I mean, easily a very successful SerieA season. It'll take a monumental collapse for them to lose this at this point with 12 games left. It's what I think 14 or 15 unbeaten in SerieA. It's like nothing wrong there. It just seems like it's the Champions League, but also now we have the Coppa Italia coming up against Como. Not an easy challenge. Where do you rank winning the Coppa Italia in terms of importance?
I mean, it would be the 10th Coppa Italia, so it would get us the silver star. So I think it's kind of important up there. I think that's pretty cool if you could add that to the kit next season. You could have the Coppa Italia badge and the silver star, and then if you're able to get that 21st Scudetto, that's awesome too. You get a nice little gap between you and Milan too. So I think that's always a good thing, at least in that regard. So I mean, I think now it's massively important for Kiwu to get a domestic double. I think that would alleviate a lot of the hate and pressure that he gets from the fan base. And like you said, it would take a monumental collapse, which not having Lautaro for the next couple months, that is a tough one, even though we should do well in the league and we should be able to handle the other, at least the clubs that we should do well against, whether it's, the Genoas and I forget who else comes. I know it's the derby after that, but
yeah,
I'd have to look up the schedule to see who else. But theoretically, we should still be able to maintain. I would say at least, even if we lose to Milan, I would say at least a 6-7 point gap, regardless. For between first and second, and we have 14 points on Napoli in third. So as long as we're able to keep that till Lautaro comes back, I mean that's great. But I would like to get that Coppa Italia. It would be nice to have that. We got nothing last year. So like 2 trophies would be, a big improvement in my opinion. Everyone made a big deal that Inzaghi's going for all 3. Well, he got nothing, so it's like any trophy is going to be welcomed. That's why we play, right? Our clubs all want to win trophies, whether it's, domestically, internationally, we want to get trophies in the cupboard. And, I would like to close the gap with Juve by any means. And yeah, so it's definitely doable. But I guess, yeah, Coppa Italia would be pretty high up for me. I think it's like literally like 1B to the Scudetto being 1A.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer. I think I don't know if we spoke to you before this season, Gianmarco, but was like, because I wanted to ask you earlier, like, what was your realistic expectations for this season with Inter? Because I don't remember if we spoke to you. If I did, sorry. You can bring it up again. But
Yeah, I don't remember who I talked to about. I know I brought it up on my podcast.
For
but
sure, was this is kind of where you were envisioning things, or was this nowhere near, or like what were your
I had no
thoughts?
expectations to be honest. I said that I thought because of the roster that we were bringing back for this season, I thought second place would be the case. I
Okay.
thought that Napoli would still be able to win the league. To be honest, as much as I'm not really a fan of Conte, I do understand what he is able to do in the league, and when he's able to focus on one thing, how he's able to perform. Unfortunately, you got like Napoli had a bunch of injuries, so it does make it hard to remain competitive and stuff, and other people underperforming. Which made it, I think, obviously easier for Inter to be able to do what they've done, and where Inzaghi struggled against the bottom half of the table, Kivu has made it a point to not lose any of those games. Like we've gotten maximum points from every single lower division team except for Udinese, who did beat us in the second game of the season, but I still give him a break because he was just getting used to everything here, and but all our losses are the other three losses are against Juve, Milan, and Napoli. So it's not like you lost to the Empolis and the Sassuolos that we used to lose to actually with Inzaghi. I think people forget that. Like when we bottled the league to Milan, we had lost to Sassuolo multiple times. We had lost to Genoa as well. Like Inzaghi, Kivu hasn't done that this season, and then
that's going to be the deciding factor this year, and because
100%.
For Milan being in second, that's where we fell, right? Like as we dropped those points against those quote unquote weaker opposition. The Cremoneses, the Pisas, the Parmas. You pick up 1 point against Parma, like you're not going to go far, right? And credit to Inter for picking up those points, but I think that'll be the deciding factor, or will. I mean,
100%.
We're not done yet, but at the end of when we come back and speak about this in April, May, whatever, like we're gonna say, well, that was the one of, if not the deciding factor of why Inter won the league, because you have to pick up those points.
You have to. Listen, Interisti want to complain that Kivu hasn't won the big games. Well, we've beaten Roma. We were able to get a draw. We obviously we beat Juve recently in a controversial game. We don't have to get into that, but we did get 3 points there. So I don't know what you're expecting. Like 2 years ago when Inzaghi, we didn't win any of those games, and we still lost the league by just 1 point. If he picks up points there, you look at the end of the season. Last season we drew against Genoa, we drew against Roma, we drew against Lazio. We get a maximum points in any of those games, we win the Scudetto. So it's like those little things, like you know what? In Interisti's mind, Genoa is a formality. Roma, no offense, is a formality. Lazio, always a formality, and we weren't able to do it.
Gianmarco, tell us how you really feel about it.
I'm sorry. Like
he's calling how it is.
It's fair, and it's fair.
And listen. I didn't think like that, but I know what Interisti were saying
for sure.
So it's like we shouldn't have been losing. We shouldn't have been dropping the point. Well, we did. And everybody liked to shield Inzaghi. They refused to give him criticism, but then Kivu comes in, and it's like anytime he dropped points, boom, hammering him down. I was like, let's keep it a buck though. Like why are we not treating Kivu with the same level of respect that we were treating Inzaghi? It just made no sense to me. And now that Kivu is getting maximum points against the teams that Inzaghi would typically drop points against, no, everybody's quiet. Everybody, sitting on their hands and not saying a word. So it's kind of frustrating from a fan standpoint, and I feel like sometimes I have to bite my tongue because I feel like I always want to say something to everybody on Twitter, but I need to know to get off that app at times, which I still struggle with.
Yeah,
but it's bro, we're 10 points up, and you're still complaining about Kivu as if he's the worst manager in world football. It makes no sense to me. What would happen if we were where I thought we would finish second? What happened if we were 10 points back right now? Would they be trying to get him fired or something? I have no idea. So
for sure,
it's just crazy to me.
Imagine you had Tudor.
Bro, let me tell you, I give you.
You had Thiago Motta,
and people wanted Thiago Motta over.
I know, as if he was just a Bambino. Fuck,
bro, it's insanity.
Yeah.
Although it was nice to troll Nima for a little bit when Thiago Motta was winning at Bologna and Inzaghi was struggling at Inter, we were kind of messing with him for a little bit, but.
Yeah, it's all fun and games.
Johnny, do you have any other questions? Because I do have one more. But yeah,
I have, if anything, also. If you want, Johnny, I don't know if you don't, but
well, my question would be, just to tie up from before, do you honestly believe Bastoni is moved at some point this summer? Like, do you think Bastoni gets Barella seems like it's the guy's gonna be ran into the ground, so it's gonna be hard.
Yeah,
to move
I
on.
don't think Barella's gonna go anywhere. Even if
I
we
feel like
wanted to.
But
Lautaro's
he has
more.
to step up. But just
Yeah, I feel like
He does.
Lautaro is a
Yeah.
bit more of a guarantee to leave this summer. I feel like.
Wow. Okay.
But they
I
locked
feel
him
like
up, no?
Huh?
Or does that? I guess that doesn't even matter these days.
It
but-
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
he
gonna
is,
say,
he
it
is
doesn't really
locked up,
matter.
but like,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know because I feel like as if it's his time is coming to an end with Inter. But Bastoni, do you think he's a player that Inter looks at options in terms, especially with recent, like, by the way, I was on his side. I thought it was fucking stupid that he had to go out to the media and apologize about
I
his
thought so
antics.
too.
Like, I'm like who gives a
Banish
fuck?
him
It's
from the
part of
national
game.
team. Banish him
Yeah,
from the
like,
national
Yeah. What are we talking about here?
Yo, crazy.
Like,
Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with the way he reacted, especially because like, look, I mean, we haven't talked about it, Nicholas, but like, I said in an intergroup chat, yo, we got lucky there. Like, it could have gone the other way where he got a yellow for simulation, and then that's a second yellow, a red. Like, we got lucky. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Call it what it is.
I'm happy that we got the call in our favor in that instance. I'm not going to pretend that I wasn't.
Yeah.
But the way he reacted and got up and just celebrated, like he just like scored a massive goal or something, I was like, not a fan. And I thought that was part of the reason that he got substituted at halftime was because of that. Kivu being a former center back, I think he knows that there's a level of respect that you should show your opponent, no matter who it is. And he kind of like alluded to that in his post-game interview. So I think there was a little bit of the respecting. And then also he did say like he was worried that like La Pena would see that he made the mistake and that he would be looking for any opportunity to give the second yellow to Bastoni to equalize things. So I think that, you know, like it was stupid that he had to go and apologize and all that. Like, bro, what are we doing here? Like, as if other teams haven't had divers or instant, like, no offense.
Exactly.
You guys had Theo at Milan and nobody said anything. He never had to apologize for anything.
Dybala too, bro. He's always on the floor.
Bro, Dybala, the guy looks like
made
he
a
gets
career.
hit. He gets hit by a sniper almost every time he's on the pitch. And
You know what? No offense. I know he's your boy. I know he's your boy.
I was about to.
I know he's your boy, but Barella too, eh? Not for nothing.
Barella at times, like he when like there's times where like, yeah,
I don't know, man.
Like,
This guy,
bro,
he's always on the ground.
Even yesterday, like when they tried to like sell the penalty, I'm like, bro, like stop. Like we're getting enough of it. Like I don't need you to be making it worse. But I will say, like, I don't know if you saw that game. There was an instance though in the first, not the one where that it hit under his like arm and like in like his upper chest here, but there was another like instance where it should have been a handball that was called. No handball was called there.
Yeah,
it was like, I don't know. It could have changed the game as well if we got that early penalty, but whatever. Neither here nor there. We didn't deserve to win to begin with.
So Bastoni is getting sold or no?
if I had to pick, to be honest, if I had to pick between Lautaro, Barella, and Bastoni, who do I think has the most realistic chance of being moved? I think it's Bastoni. There is rumor that Barcelona is interested in bringing him in. Like they are apparently in love with him. They think that he's the perfect guy to play alongside Cubarsí. I know. What's his name? Pep Guardiola was always been a big fan of Bastoni. So who knows if an offer comes in? The only thing is, like, does Bastoni want to leave? I don't think so. There's never been any inclination or anything like that he's interested in going anywhere. Lautaro, I think it's tougher because he's the captain, right? So it's like, are you really going to sell your captain again after you did with Icardi? Granted, that was under different circumstances. The guy was, you know, his wife was controlling him, and it was a whole like ordeal and drama stuff at the club.
What's the club? Was that a different? Was our banter era?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You know, like, and you get 60 million for Icardi. You take that to the bank and you run.
Of course,
so
you check it right away.
But yeah, like, so I mean, do I want Bastoni sold? No. Do I think out of all the three, I think that's the most realistic one? Probably. Like, I mean,
he would probably bring you one of the. Probably, I don't know about the most, but probably Lautaro probably bring you the most, but he'd probably be up there, no?
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I mean, listen, they're saying like 70, 80 million for Bastoni. Like, if Barcelona comes with an offer, how, like, we as Italian clubs, seriously, how do we say no to 70 or 80 million for a center back?
That's good. There you go. That goes back to my point, right? Like we need that money.
We do. But like, there's also like young talent out there in the Serie A that you can go get. Like, I mean, granted, Scalvini can't stay healthy, but like,
yeah, he's good, man.
That's a great young center back that I think you could like go reinvest in if you decide to, or you could use that to go get, you know, two different players, you know, like, so it's, I I don't think he'll go, honestly. Like, but I think out of all the three, I think he's the most realistic and probably gets you the best return because he's, if I'm not, he's the youngest of the three. So it's like,
Is he? Yeah.
yeah.
Plus you, I don't. Did you, like, you guys paid was it the least for him? Probably. Or what? Or was it like Inter paid?
Out of all three,
Inter got him from Atalanta. They paid like what? 25 million?
No, he was 38 million.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. The
Okay,
least of the three was Lautaro. I think that was like 22 or 25 million, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. But anyways, it's still good in ROI. Oh
yeah, 100%.
Nick, I don't know. You had your question. I had another question. I was kind of just.
I'll wait to the end because it's not about Inter. It's more about in Europe.
Okay. No, I just Gianmarco. I know. I don't really wanted to bring it up and whatever, but just because I had kind of maybe I have to get this off my chest because the Milan game on the weekend, right? With this VAR, right? But what was your take on just like the whole like this whole like VAR situation, this whole officiating in Italy? Because like we saw the incident in obviously the Derby d'Italia, right? We spoke about it a bit there, and we spoke about it last week. The Bastoni, the Kalulu, all that. And again, like we kind of saw not the same thing, but in the Milan Parma game, right? Goal called back with the VAR, which I think is a foul on. If you want to say it's on a foul on Maignan or a foul on Batisaki, you can, in my opinion, you can pick your whatever one you want. It's a foul on one of them, in my opinion. That gets called back, reversed by VAR. And earlier in the game, Loftus-Cheek gets his little teeth taken out, and he has like fucking a jawline fracture, and they protect the goalie there and call it a foul on Loftus-Cheek. And again, no VAR to kind of save that. But what has been your kind of just your opinion on that, especially in Italy, because we don't get away with this shit in Europe. This comedy this absolute cinema, right, that we get away with in Italy, we don't get away with in Europe. So just your take. I just want to hear your opinion because I know you're obviously knowledgeable in not only Inter but just the league in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's getting ridiculous what's going on in the league. I know people want to like cry Marotta League and think that we somehow control the referees. I wish we would never lose a game if we had that level of power, but it's embarrassing. I think it's a black eye in the league. I think for people who are maybe just getting into Serie A and they see that and they see it week in and week out, it may turn them off from wanting to watch it. They're like, yo, it's a joke. Like, you know, I mean, how that call. Let's go to the Inter Juve game. How that call, you can't have VAR intervene for like an error like that is crazy to me. Yeah. It is crazy. Like, I don't think that call decided the game by any means. Because honestly, in my opinion, I thought we played better against 11 than we did against 10, which I don't know. That doesn't make sense. But I mean, we looked poor. Like Juve looked more of a threat with a man down. It's incredible. But you see what happened in the Milan Parma game. Now, I personally I didn't see an issue with the player standing still and kind of just boxing out Maignan personally.
Yeah, I think but the foul was on by
the other one. I mean, like, I don't know. I get the argument that he was looking at the ball. He wasn't looking to foul Bartesat. I understand that, and I still, you see, he's not looking to get in on Bartesat. However, he's still impeding with his ability to
play the ball. You go right through him.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's like, yes, he went over and then he didn't. He kind of just like leaned on him to get the header, but like.
What also pisses me off. Just I have to get this on my chest, and you're the perfect person probably to talk about this with, but just to vent with. But they want to protect the goalies, right? They always want to protect the keeper, right? It's kind of like the quarterback in football. We want to protect the quarterback. We want to protect the goalies in soccer, right? You want to protect the goalie, but when a goalie literally interferes with an opposition player, an outfield player, which I forget his name though, the Parma keeper does with Loftus-Cheek, there we're protecting the goalie. Even though he comes out, I don't want to say viciously, but he comes out and he fucking knocks the guy out, right? But on the other end, we're not protecting the keeper because he didn't really do much. But every other time, they protect. It's for me. There's no consistency. There's no consistency. That's the
problem. Because
I agree.
a year ago, or maybe it was 2 years ago now, but there was a game where Inter is playing Fiorentina, and Jan Sommer goes to punch the ball. He gets the ball first, but then he hits the forward. I forget who it was now. It might have been Kwame or something.
Yeah.
Who he hits, and he did hit the player in the head, but
Yeah.
he got the ball first.
Yeah. So where?
He wasn't going to hit. He wasn't trying to punch Kwame. He was going for the ball.
Mhm.
And at that point, they called a penalty for Fiorentina. Thank God Jan Sommer made the save on the penalty, and we were able to get all 3 points.
Sure.
But like then another game, I forget who it was now. It was either I think it was Juve, but same instance, punches the ball first, then he hits the player after with the same follow through. No penalty on that one.
Yeah.
Like there's no consistency in Serie A. There isn't, and it always seems that a favor goes for. It can go for Inter, it can go for Juve, it can go for Milan at times. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and there's been times where we've been awarded penalty. Like, I forget now. What is against? I don't remember. But Mkhitaryan got stepped on after the fact in the box. Mkhitaryan won the ball. He got it out. He misplayed it, and he gets stepped on, and they called a penalty on that. To me, that's such a BS penalty. Like there's been twice that Inter have been awarded penalties where a player gets stepped on after he makes the contact. So it's like he gets the ball, he wins it, he plays it to whoever, and then he gets stepped on and gets fouled. I get that it's a foul, but to me, not a penalty. If it has no bearing on the.
It happened to Thuram, right?
Thuram as well, yeah.
Was that not the derby? When was that?
I think it was. I think it was one of the derbies. Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And to me, never a penalty.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Am I glad we got the calls? Of course. I'm not going to pretend that I didn't. But those should never be called penalties. Like the same thing. Like I have an issue with the offside rule. Your upper body, like if you're leaning to go chase a ball and your shoulder is off, you're not playing the ball with your shoulder. It has no bearing on what actually plays out in the game. Like they need to do lower half of the body is the only thing that should be offside. That makes it a lot easier to understand. But that's a whole other argument.
Yeah.
The lack of consistency in this league, the lack of transparency that we get from the referees, yes, it's nice that we get to hear their reasoning behind things now that we didn't get before. But then but
it's still shit. Because then at the end of it, we get Rocky, the head of all this,
I was about to say
coming out to say, and he has to excuse everything and say, yes, there was a mistake here, there was a mistake there, and there was a mistake here. But we don't get those points back.
No,
we don't get our money back. Right?
We don't replay the games. We don't fix anything.
It's
tough.
Anyways.
Nobody gets punished really. Like they get a slap on the wrist, but they get to continue to be refs in Serie A.
For sure.
I don't like a lot of the things that people get away with in the EPL, but I do like that they are a little bit tighter on what they give cards for, on what gets called penalties. Like some of the penalties that get called in Serie A, they would never ever be called in
probably anywhere else. To be honest.
Well, probably anywhere, but definitely not in the EPL.
Yeah.
So it's just a lack of consistency, understanding of the rules. I think Rocky complicates things way too much for these referees that when they have their postseason or preseason trainings to understand what's expected, there's no clarity. Like every referee interprets things differently. Like my personal favorite is Daniele Doveri. And I feel like this year he's kind of like taking a step back because I think even he doesn't understand what really is a foul, what is a handball, what isn't. Like it's a joke, and it kind of makes the product on the pitch kind of meaningless because if the referees can have this level of an impact week in and week out, this basically determining title races or matches or who gets relegated and who gets promoted, like it just kind of like dilutes the value of the league. And I feel like it's just going to make it almost unwatchable in a year or two if we keep going at this pace.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for letting me rant and helping me rant because I knew if there was one person to do it, it was you, Gianmarco. So thank you.
No, man. Listen, guys, I love coming on here because I feel like you guys ask like the best questions. I'm not even just saying that. Like it just makes it easy to want to talk. And if I talk too much, please shut me up. Like
no, please.
We have. I have another question, and then Nick I know has a question too. So
okay, yeah.
Go ahead, Adri. I think we'll wrap it up after because I think it's
go for your question. I won't ask mine.
I was gonna ask Atalanta to come back today. I think Fred, who they have a possibility to play. I think it's Tottenham or Arsenal.
It's I think it's Tottenham or Arsenal. Yeah,
depends on the draw. How far are they going in the Champions League?
If it's Tottenham, they definitely get to the quarterfinals. I think that they are a better coach team. I think that they have better depth. They definitely have the better goalkeeper with Karnaseki. I think that is a big, determining factor. Arsenal is going to be tough because of how strong they are on set pieces. I feel like with the way that Palladino does his zonal marking, it's going to be tough for them to kind of pick up on all the things and the moving pieces that Arsenal may have, like on corners and set pieces and stuff like that. And especially there's a lot of youth, right? Like, I mean, what is it? That kid, Bernasconi. He's kind of come out of nowhere. He looks like a phenomenal young player. I hope that he continues to develop. But still, a little green behind the ear. You got Scalvini, who we don't know if he's like fully fit yet. He's looked great so far, and I love everything that we've seen him. But like, I mean, the kid's torn his ACL. Like, you don't know
Twice,
how.
I think, eh?
Twice,
Twice, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
I
like
like him as a player, though. He's a good player.
love him as a player.
Yeah.
And it's what are you going to get from Scamacca week in and week out? He can either be like the most incredible striker, or he could be missing the entire game. Like there's no in between with him. So yeah, like that would make it hard against Arsenal, where I think that they'd be able to kind of hide some of their deficiencies a little bit better against Tottenham. So hopefully they pull Spurs. I think that'll be like the best chance for obviously us as an Italian, supporting group, that to see Atalanta move on to the quarterfinals at the very least. And who knows? Maybe they get another lucky draw. Maybe somehow Sporting move on to the quarter and they get to play Sporting Lisbon, and maybe they get a semifinal out of it. So we'll see.
Yeah, it pays, man, to bring in a good coach, eh?
It's either Bayern or Arsenal, by the way, not Tottenham.
Oh, never mind.
It's Bayern or Arsenal.
If it's Bayern or
fuck.
Good luck, mates.
Congrats on the round of 16, I guess, boys.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Well, you had me with the Tottenham
listen,
discussion.
if it was
there.
Tottenham, I was convinced that they really would move on, but Bayern are too fast, so that's even worse. I think
they're strong. They're strong, but regardless, I think it pays. Like what I was saying, to bring in a good coach. Like I like Palladino, man. Like he's
a big fan of Rafael Palladino. Yeah,
like where they were with Juric at the beginning of the season, and him coming in 4 matches into Champions League, I think it was.
Yeah,
and he brought them to this point with the comeback of today. I mean, chapeau to Palladino, because I predicted them at the beginning of the year to do nothing in Serie A and probably nothing in Champions League either, with the hiring of Juric, because for me, Juric
what a terrible hiring.
Was terrible, right? But to bring in a young Italian coach like Palladino, for me is a job well done just on that aspect. But speaking of Italian, just to wrap this up, because we are going a bit on time here, but Gianmarco, you hinted at it a bit before, and I don't want it to end on a negative, but are we getting to the World Cup come March? We're almost there, Gianmarco. This March playoff.
A month from tomorrow.
A month away, exactly. March 26th, Northern Ireland. What are your quick takes there, and are we making it to the World Cup?
I think we're able to get past Northern Ireland. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like it's gonna be tough, man. It really is. Like I feel like this, just the quality of players that we're able to call upon compared to what we were able to do in years past. Like, I mean, look at the background that Johnny has. Like, what a difference it is to see all those absolute legends.
We always bring it up.
And it's like, and I got to see, a guy like Buongiorno potentially starting, who's just been out of form, right? Like just, our midfield is not what it used to be. Even Barella, like, listen, I love the guy. But he really is like the best option we have outside of Tonali and Locatelli, who are probably going to be the starting your starting midfield no matter what, right?
Those three, yeah.
He hasn't been good. You don't know who's going to be on the right side. Like, are we going to rely on veteran players like a Di Lorenzo, or is Palestra going to get an opportunity? And is that a risk? Because this is like must-win games now. Like, he hasn't really had a run out with these guys. What is Gattuso going to do? Retegui, yeah, he's firing on all cylinders in the Saudi league, but like he's going up against guys who were probably cab drivers, like, the year before. They weren't really defenders and stuff. And, is he going to be the starter? Is Pio going to get big minutes? Do I think he's ready? I honestly don't know. I love the kid, but like, do I want to put him in a situation where he has to be performing to get us to a World Cup qualification?
Well, I think so.
I mean, I guess that's a good, person to have in your corner, but like, he also says that he thinks Karnaseki, if it wasn't for Donnarumma, would be the starter.
Sure.
So it's like, obviously Donnarumma is going to start this game, but like, I don't know what version of Calafiori is going to show up. I don't know who the other center backs are going to be. We know Gianmarco is kind of going to be locked at the left back, but that's not his strength. He's like playing in a back four. He's better up the pitch. Like, do we go to a back three? He's like, there's so many questions I have that I just don't know what to expect. I honestly don't. I hope we to miss a third World Cup. Do we just blow up the whole FIGC and like start? Like, I mean, really, like, where do you go if you miss a third? Like, that is a level of embarrassment that I never thought I would experience in my lifetime. Like seeing the teams from like 94, 98, 02.
Okay.
Like I thought we could have truthfully won all three of those. I'm not even just saying that. Like talent wise, like what we had at our disposal, we probably should.
Johnny says that all the time.
Yeah. Like I've had this discussion with Jan many times before.
Shout out.
Like when we used to play ball hockey together, where I was like, you just look at those rosters, like they were just a golden generation of players that had to go up against other nations that were going through their golden generation.
Yeah.
Like today on Instagram, funny enough, I saw highlights of France '98, right? And honestly speaking, it came down to a crossbar. Because I was 5 going on 6 during that World Cup. Like I was a month away from turning 6 years old, and I remember that game, and that was my first like memory of like heartbreak for soccer.
Me and Nick were 2.
Yeah, but like watching that again, right, as with adult eyes, and I'm like, who was it? Was it Albertini? I think it was Albertini that hit.
Yeah, it was Albertini. Yeah,
yeah, that hit the crossbar, and I'm like, we were a crossbar away from eliminating France. Who knows what we could have done? Like, maybe we could have won the World Cup that year. Maybe not. It remains to be seen because you still had a very strong Brazil to go through in '98. Would have been another.
But then you look at 2002, right? Like Vietti
robbery.
Vietti won the Golden Boot, and he was out in the quarterfinals.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Like he was having like people don't remember how unbelievable of a tournament Christian Vietti was having. Totti was unbelievable. Yeah. The defense was literally at their peak with Nesta, Maldini, Cannavaro, and just an absolute robbery because of Byron Moreno, who like I think if that game does like first of all we outplayed the South Koreans off the pitch. Spain in the next round would have been an easy matchup for us, and then if I'm not mistaken, it would have been Germany for us in the semifinal, which. They weren't the team that they were in 06, which we beat. They were obviously better because they made the final, and Oliver Kahn was at his peak as well. But Buffon was unbelievable that tournament. I think it gets underrated as well because of the way that we lost on the golden goal to the Koreans. I think we would have won the 02 World Cup. I don't care that Ronaldo Phenomenal had that stupid haircut and all the memories and stuff and what he did there. I think that as a team we would have beat them there. Obviously, we won in 06. Like we literally could have had, and I'm not like, I mean, people could say this is revisionist history, but we could have had 4 World Cups in a row, not even just 4 total.
Yeah,
that would have been, man, that would have been good.
Like I was 6 in '94, and I remember watching that with my dad and watching that final and seeing my no cry because we lost on penalties to the Brazilians, and to have Baggio be the one that like kind of seals it. In that way, like I mean, it's heartbreaking.
That's devastating.
Yeah.
So we make it or we don't.
If we don't make it, man, I may take a break from life. Like I may just have to like sign off of everything, go live on a beach because it's inexcusable.
Might join you.
It's inexcusable. Like we make it. I say we make it this time.
I love it. Anyways, Gianmarco, listen, we can go on for another hour, another 2
Easily.
hours, another 3 hours easily. We know that. We're gonna wrap it up there. Just again, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure to chat with you on the show, off the show, wherever it is. And again, you put out some great content as well. If anybody's living under a rock and doesn't know about your content, where can they find you and the content that you put out?
No, listen, I appreciate you when you guys invite me. Like I said, I love chatting with you guys. I could talk 2, 3, 4 more hours. It's just easy with you. It's like I feel like the only thing that's missing is the dinner table and one of our nonas making us all a meal. That's really
it. That's it.
All that's out right now. But yeah, if you're not following me on Twitter, that's probably a good thing. But it's at SauceGMP, and then Interviews Pod. It's myself and my good buddy Alessandro. We just talk Inter, but we love having guys on to talk about other clubs. Adrian, I was actually going to ask if you could come on to talk the derby match with us.
Let me know. Let me know.
Obviously,
we'll try to make it
that's a
happen.
big one. But yeah, like I would love to have you on
Yeah,
to
let me
talk
know.
about that. But yeah, like shoot a follow, send a message, whatever. Like I love interacting with people and talking. And if you're a fan of a rival club, I don't care. Like if we're able to talk, like I am able to talk with you guys, I'm all about it. So yeah, hope to gain some followers, and I'll follow back. Just shoot me a message or whatever.
For sure. But yeah, guys, definitely go give Gianmarco Alessandro and Interviews podcast a follow. It's great content. Even as a rival fan, you love to see the cultural content coming out, especially here in North America. Like we need to band together rather than being separate. We have to unite.
100%.
Especially when there's good people behind it, right? I always say it on the show. The biggest thing is that not only are they putting out good content, there are good people behind it. So it goes a long way. And listen, give them a follow on all socials. Their clips are always a good watch as well. So go follow them. For us, like we say every week, guys, at the Calcio Guys, it's very simple on all social media platforms. Audio version of the podcast and all your favorite podcasting platforms. Leave 5 stars, a comment there. And for all video content of the pod, subscribe on YouTube. Put the post notifications, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll be back next week to talk a lot more culture.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
Bye.